Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Ballers Take Flight. On this episode, we will be going over the GOAT at every position. Make sure to stay till the end of this video to find out who these NBA players are. If you're new to this channel or you haven't done so yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button and smash the like button. Typically, there are positions given to 5 players currently on the floor for their team in a basketball game. Given their relative size and versatility, a player might be used in more than one position during the course of a game. Michael Jordan is generally considered the greatest basketball player of all time, but players like LeBron James, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and others also have substantial cases. Just as it's difficult to compare players from different eras, a player's value isn't always the same depending on their position. While roles might be blurred more in the modern NBA due to the transition to positionless basketball, shooting guards like Kobe Bryant and Allen Iverson are generally asked to carry the bulk of the scoring load, while a point guard like Isaiah Thomas is asked to initiate the offense and set up his teammates. A player's stats might be affected due to what their role is, so comparing players from different eras who play different positions isn't always fair. And who says we only need to have a single NBA GOAT? Even though the league is moving further from traditional positions every year, they're still handy-dandy guides and will remain such, so long as starting lineups contain 5 distinct spots. Sure, some players are combo guards, swingmen, or tweener forwards. Power forwards and centers can often be interchangeable, and not everyone fits cleanly into one of the overarching choices. To make the playing field a little more even, let us see who is the GOAT at every position. Point guard, Magic Johnson. What might have happened if Magic Johnson didn't need to hang up his sneakers due to HIV after the 1990-1991 season? That was only his age 31 campaign, and he averaged 19.4 points, 12.5 assists, and 7.0 rebounds while shooting 47.7% from the field and making 90.6% of his free throw attempts. Based on basically every common use advanced metric, he was playing above his lifetime level, showing few signs of imminent decline as he moved deeper into his 30s. Johnson cemented an indelible legacy even before that point, leading the Showtime Los Angeles Lakers to a decade of unabashed dominance while he established himself as a wizard of a passer who played with immense effectiveness and flair. As one example among myriad displays of excellence, Johnson is one of only 6 players to record at least 22 points and 11 assists per game during a qualified season. He and fellow Hall of Famer Oscar Robertson are the lone players to record multiple such campaigns. Biggest current challenger for the point guard position, Stephen Curry. Paul is closer to surpassing Johnson than many might think, although the lack of jewelry, both of the team and individual varieties, could make the necessary legacy gains an impossibility. Stephen Curry, however, suffers from no such limitations after already earning 2 MVP awards and a trio of titles. The point guard is already one of the 50 best players in the sport's history, but he has a long way to go before matching Johnson. He still sits behind 34 others in lifetime TPA and is 93rd in career win shares. Johnson is 21st. Nonetheless, he's the top current challenger because of his enduring level of play, relative youth, and potential knack for staving off father time. Given his deadly shooting stroke, Curry should age far more gracefully than the many floor generals dependent on physicality to generate their production. Shooting guard, Michael Jordan. Could this be any more obvious? Regardless of your stance in the Michael Jordan versus LeBron James debate that seems to take new life at every twist and turn of the NBA calendar, you should recognize the former supremacy at shooting guard. Despite what the die-hard Kobe Bryant supporters might believe, no other backcourt player has come close to Jordan's lengthy resume. Based on NBA Math's GOAT project, Michael Jordan gets the years 1998 to 99, 1997 to 98, 1990 to 91, and 1992 to 93 as best. This is rather telling, and it's perhaps even more telling that Jordan alone has 6 of the top 10 seasons by 2 guards, as well as 10 of the top 20. Suffice it to say, he's in a class of his own. He wreaked havoc for the Bulls throughout his extended prime by routinely making all defensive teams and submitting some of the greatest scoring numbers in NBA history. Well, you've heard about his 6-for-6 record in the finals. Biggest current challenger for the shooting guard position, James Harden. With Bryant retired, Dwayne Wade's still deciding if he wants to return for another season, and Donovan Mitchell far too young to battle for the top spot at his position. James Harden is the easy choice as the primary challenger to Jordan. However, he isn't going to match Jordan's legacy, and that's the hard truth. Harden is an offensive genius who's breaking new ground with his combination of point-producing volume and free-throw-driven efficiency, but his defensive woes and relatively delayed breakout leave him far behind the positional leader. Perhaps he'll eventually supplant Allen Iverson for the final spot within the two-guard top 5. He could even climb into the tier that includes Wade and Drexler. Either way, his ceiling is still capped well shy of Jordan's. Small forward, LeBron James. Talented as Larry Bird may have been, and his playing style, complete with defensive switchability and perimeter shooting acumen out of the front court, would have fit even better in the present day than the 80s. LeBron James has moved past him with room to spare. The man has made 8 consecutive finals appearances and has averaged 26.4 points, 8.2 rebounds, and 8.2 assists, while slashing 53.7, 35.0, 71.2, and he played at perhaps his highest level ever while willing the Cleveland Cavaliers through the Eastern Conference in the 2018 postseason. He's only widened the gap between himself and every other small forward in NBA history. Biggest current challenger for the small forward position, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is a historic, transcendent player who's only gotten better since he joined the Golden State Warriors, a choice that led to a pair of titles and an equivalent number of Finals MVPs. If he doesn't beat you with his legendary scoring chops, he can take over a game with his versatile defensive ability or growing status as a dangerous facilitator. But his scoring prowess stands out the most. Among every player in history with at least 100 career appearances, he has the 5th highest scoring average, behind only Wilt Chamberlain, Jordan, Baylor, and James. Yet, even with what might be the greatest scoring resume in the sport's history, Durant still isn't going to pass James. He's already the 3rd best small forward we've ever seen, behind James and Bird. But the remaining climb is far too steep when his contemporary rival is playing at an even higher level and had a massive head start. Power forward, Tim Duncan. In 2003-04, Tim Duncan had the most impressive season we've ever seen from a power forward. You can make convincing arguments that Charles Barkley, Karl Malone, Dirk Nowitzki, and perhaps even Bob Pettit had peaks at least comparable to Tim Duncan's best years. During his rookie season in 1997-98, Duncan averaged 21.1 points, 11.9 rebounds, 2.7 assists, 0.7 steals, and 2.5 blocks while shooting 54.9% from the field. It remains a travesty that one of the greatest defensive presences in league history never held up the Defensive Player of the Year trophy, but that doesn't hold back Duncan's resume. He was still a consummate professional who excelled in nearly every facet of the game and turned the Spurs into a dynasty. Without him, San Antonio wouldn't have enjoyed a 21-year streak of postseason appearances, earned a handful of titles, and become the ultimate model of consistency in professional basketball. Biggest current challenger for the power forward position, Anthony Davis. Predicting that someone will eventually dethrone Duncan is foolish, if only because that requires so many fortuitous bounces and luck with injuries. A player can't only ascend to the top of the individual hierarchy. He must also sustain that level, or at least a comparable one, for nearly 2 decades. That's troubling for an up-and-comer like Anthony Davis, who has played remarkably well when healthy, but has already struggled with some maladies during the early stages of his career. Even if Davis kept replicating the 316.46 TPA he earned during the 2017-18 regular season and playoffs combined, he'd need another 15 seasons to move past Duncan's career tally. In other words, he'd have to play at the exact same level through the 2032-33 campaign, his age 39 season. Center, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was never better than he was during his early career years with the Milwaukee Bucks. He spent only 6 seasons in Brewtown before cultural differences sparked his exit via trade to the Los Angeles Lakers. But he racked up 3 MVPs and a championship while averaging 30.4 points on 54.7% shooting, 15.3 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. The master of the skyhook had to take a slight backseat to Magic Johnson during portions of his Lakers tenure, but he still played excellent basketball for an even longer duration, while compiling 3 more MVPs and another 5 titles. Only 4 men have exceeded Abdul-Jabbar's Lakers-era tally during their entire careers. 5 have topped his efforts for the Bucks, and we're talking about both in conjunction, which is why only Bill Russell and Wilt Chamberlain deserve to sit within a single tier of the GOAT center, a man who deserves more love in the overall GOAT conversation. Maybe Chamberlain was better during his peak years, scoring points in bunches and flashing the passing skills necessary to lead the league in total assists during the 1967-68 season. Perhaps Russell's legacy is comparable with so many titles earned for the Boston Celtics. But the remarkable longevity and sustained excellence pushes Abdul-Jabbar beyond both of them. Biggest current challenger for the center position, Rudy Gobert. A player can't have done anything wrong when he's the reigning #1 pick who has yet to play in the association. Ultimately, all fall short. No center in the current NBA looks likely to challenge the legends of yesteryears as the game increasingly distances itself from its post-up orientation. Gobert is here because of his consistent excellence when healthy. He's a game-changing defensive force for the Utah Jazz, and he's coming off a season in which his team was 6.9 points per 100 possessions better with him on the floor. When he plays, the opposition has no choice but to alter its offensive schemes. Gobert isn't going to become the greatest center in NBA history, but the established nature of his play, expectations of health, and relative youth push him into the forefront for the current crop. Well, what do you think? Are they indeed the GOATs at every position? Hey, don't forget to comment below which ballers you would like to see next time on Ballers Take Flight. And that is all for Who's the GOAT at Every Position. See you in the next video.